Welcome to Signature Tube. My name is Ben Schachter, broker president of the Signature Real Estate Companies, and your host for Signature Tube. Each week we bring you fascinating speakers on a variety of topics, all of whom are affiliated with us at the Signature Real Estate Companies. I've had a dear friend for close to 15 years here in South Florida, Stephen Lippy, who's joining us today. He is the owner and CEO of Florida's Best Public Adjusters. I want to welcome Stephen for joining us.
Thank you, Ben. Appreciate it.
How are you?
Very much. I'm good. It's been 20 years since you got my mortgage from me.
Oh my goodness.
My first house here in Florida with you and your dad.
Time flies, doesn't it?
It does.
It sure does. We go a long way back. And Stephen is someone I'm proud to call a friend for quite a long time. Today we're going to learn all about Florida's Best Public Adjusters and what it means to be a public adjuster. Stephen, tell us a little bit about yourself and your firm. The viewers are curious and we want to know all about you and Florida's Best.
Very good. Well, first of all, I'm a public adjuster, which means that we represent homeowners, condos, businesses, any type of business that has damage to their property or their business through covered peril by your insurance company. And interestingly, we cover all 67 counties in the state of Florida now. So we have a very large footprint. We're there to help you if you think that you have a claim, if you think that you had a claim. In particular, I've worked with a lot of realtors to assist them in determining whether or not their property that they're trying to sell has a covered loss. You get to the closing, or you get to have the house under contract, due diligence, the roof is no good, there's a leak here, a leak there. I pride myself in helping a lot of your agents in the past with determining fact from fiction, whether or not it's a claim. And we also understand whether that an insurance claim does survive the sale of the property with the proceeds going to the seller. So we've been very helpful in helping people get their properties closed and increasing sales.
It's interesting that you really made it clear the proceeds go to the seller. So help us understand that. If a buyer and seller are under a purchase contract and the buyer wants to buy the home and the buyer says, wow, the roof is in terrible shape and we're still during the pending period, meaning the property hasn't closed yet, and the buyer says, hey, I want $10,000 off the price of this home. They call you, and what do you do in terms of the seller and the insurance policy to see if anything can be done to help satisfy potentially a seller coming out of pocket for that gigantic credit?
With the process that we have, it will take me about 72 hours to get my professional licensed home inspector out anywhere in the Tri-County area, in Orlando, Tampa, doesn't matter, to determine whether or not there's a peril that's covered in the policy that allows you to make a claim. Just because it's old and worn out, or it's been walked on a lot or cleaned too much, that doesn't mean that there's a covered peril. Right now, until September 5th of 2020, we're actually working on opening a lot of Hurricane Irma claims. So what typically happens, I'll get a phone call, just had a house in Whispering Woods in Coral Springs, $1 million house, it's going under contract. They come out, they look at the roof, and they say, the roof is shot, it needs a $150,000 roof. I was brought in, we evaluated the roof, we found out that 4 of the 5 possible elements to get a new roof were in the report, and we went ahead and we did a claim for the roof. There was a negotiated reduction in price on the house because the roof was shot. The seller needed to sell the house but wanted a chance at getting money after the sale. What's interesting, what I want the realtors to understand is that an insurance claim survives a sale. Proceeds going to the person who made the claim that owned it at that time. You can't make a claim after it trades hands. After there's a transfer of title, you have no more ability to make the claim. But what we've had dozens if not hundreds of times, we've been in a situation where the claim is made, there's a reduction in price, it's the diminished value of the home, and we try to get the realtor to, or the agent to make a documentation of, okay, we're going to reduce the price by $100,000 because you're saying the roof is shot, and we have a pending claim. And sometimes it's difficult. You have to finesse that with a buyer. Mm-hmm. Sometimes a buyer doesn't want to get involved, which we think could be potential litigation down the road. However, what's interesting is once the property trades hands, and I'm not an attorney, but once a property changes hands, the insurance company can't get back upon the property to investigate anything. It's called trespassing. So I like it in many situations where we're going across the, where there's many times that we have a situation that sometimes the owner doesn't want to, the buyer doesn't want to participate. That's difficult, but most of the times, if they're getting a significant reduction in price, we can go ahead and assist them with that. It's a finesse. Look, I've looked at 20,000 claims. I've completed about 7,000. I'm 63 years old. I'm not a kid. And I don't have time to waste on claims that aren't going to come to fruition in my lifetime. So I don't take claims that are iffy, but I can tell someone with a reasonable certainty their percentage of success in making a claim, whether it's a roof, pipe leak, mold, what have you.
Very good.
And I've assisted a lot of your agents in getting deals closed, either for themselves or
You
for
helped me
others.
personally in my own property.
Right.
I couldn't have been happier with your service, and
Yeah.
that's why we're sitting here today.
Right.
Tell us, because you have this great team that you oversee, tell us a little about the inner workings of your personal company, who we can expect to deal with, or who's involved on the team over at Florida's Best.
I handle all claims. I have a team of 6 adjusters that work underneath me. I review, either I do the work myself or review all of their work. That's on the adjusting side. On the operational side, you met my wife, Sandra. She is a licensed Florida public adjuster. She handles the operations. And I have a wonderful secretary, Jeannie Nunez, who's been with me a long time, and she handles inquiries from clients and gets things set up. We use Claim Wizard for our claims. We use Google Calendar for our appointments. And my motto still is, after 20,000 claims, if I'm on time, I'm late. If I show up at your house on time, I'm late, because we know how important your realtor's times are, your insurance times. We don't screw around. And we're also A+ rated by the Better Business Bureau, as you know.
Absolutely. So you mentioned that the deadline's approaching in September of next year for claims back from Irma.
Right.
What about claims that are not necessarily named peril? What if something happens in my house, my toilet bursts and water comes pouring into the kitchen and I get a flood in my kitchen, cabinets, flooring, what have you? We can still use a public adjuster even if it's not necessarily a hurricane or a named storm.
That's correct. A very small piece of our business are hurricanes. It's anytime you have water that's coming out of an orifice in your home that's not supposed to be coming out of is a potential claim. Pipe breaks, toilet overflows, dishwasher goes kaflooey, refrigerator lines, dishwasher lines, washing machine lines.
We
small
forget how much
fires.
water is in our home.
95% of all claims are water damage. 95%. That's the bread and butter of our business.
Now, the term public adjuster is certainly not to be confused with adjuster who works on the insurance company side. I know when I had a claim personally, the insurance company came right out with what they called an adjuster, and they offered me some money and a bunch of legal paperwork to sign right away, and they wanted to quickly close the chapter on my claim. What should I do as a homeowner? What should I not do as a homeowner?
People like yourself who have had a claim and have an experience with the claim, working first with the insurance company, work with me. Most of my clients, as you know, are snowbirds, and they pick up the phone and say, Stephen, the person watching my house says there's water on the floor. I go running out. People who use a public adjuster, and these are numbers that the state produces, the state of Florida. People use a public adjuster for daily claim, generally get 5 3/4 times more money than people can get on their own.
Wow, that's staggering.
It's staggering. When I do claims and I'm brought in 3 months after the fact, my average is about doubling of the money. When you're in there day one and you have your moisture meters, your infrared cameras, and you can show where all the water went, rather than using a forensic type thing and guessing using other people's work, you just get so much more money. And but a lot of people feel that they can do it themselves and that the insurance companies will treat them fairly. And I have a release. If someone has USAA or Nationwide or Liberty Mutual, they're all mutual companies, and they want me to represent them, I send them a document by email that says, you have to understand these companies are going to take care of you. But if you want my concierge service to do this for you and make the appointments and meet, you're going to get less money after my commission than you can get on your own. Those are 3 mutual companies. They're mutually owned by the policyholders versus all the equity companies that are out there. The equity companies, I know that if you've had a claim in the past, in the last 5 years, you've been paid or underpaid, I know I can double that without even looking, in general. Not on the mutual companies. Mutual companies are a different breed. I do a lot of work on Liberty Mutual, USAA, Nationwide. but I almost feel like I'm taking people's money. They could do better net without me, but people, time is money. They don't want to spend the time on it, so I'm more than happy to step in and help.
Sure.
Um,
And when someone calls you in for a claim, you mentioned moisture meters and infrared. Is this equipment that the homeowner, I have to go out and rent or obtain, or is this equipment you take care
These
of?
are standard equipment that we carry with us.
Okay.
We want to understand where the water came from, and more importantly, if it wicked up on the walls, where it went. We are supposed to be professionals at our job. We're supposed to read your policy, understand the limitations in the policy, and adjust the claim according to the quality of the policy. And as you know, in Florida, the policies are getting changed every year, and our policyholders
feel like
are getting
weekly.
less and less.
Right.
Yeah.
All the time. Interesting. So you work with real estate agents, you work with the general public. As far as a real estate agent goes, again, I've used you personally, so it's a very, very warm and fuzzy personal endorsement. But when would be the best time for an agent to bring you in? I know sometimes when there's a contract in place, we mentioned this example of Coral Springs, they have a really short window of time from when a buyer shows up until that inspection period's over, when they can pull out or not, and you're dealing with this 72-hour time frame of your window. Would it be wise if we see damage in a home, or if a homeowner indicates on a listing appointment before they ever sell the house, that perhaps it's time to call Stephen Lippy in?
Most of my realtor friends, when they think there's a problem in the house, they call us, we come look. There's no charge to come look. I mean, I pride myself, honestly, Benji, in telling people, 7 out of 10 people, I tell them, this is not a claim. Either you can't win it, or there's not enough money in it to make it worthwhile. Because if you make a claim and you hold on to that house, if you make a claim and you're denied on the claim, your rate's gonna go up 3 to 5% regardless.
Right.
2 claims, in my opinion, 1 claim in a 3-year period is okay. 2 claims, 3, they're gonna cancel you, and you're gonna be going to Citizens or an impaired carrier. So I'm very, at my stage of life, in the stage of my business, I don't need to take every claim that I think is out there. I'm picky, but it's what's in the best interest of the client. Many times I'll tell 7 out of 10 people pick up the phone and call me and say, I have a drip here in my air conditioner, I have mold. I explain to them, don't make the claim, or make the claim but you don't need a public adjuster.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a very good relationship that I have with most of the public.
That's a wonderful,
It's
wonderful
different
bit of
than a lot
advice.
of other guys that just started out and they had their license. In Florida, prior to 2017, the number of public adjusters licensed in Florida is about 1,500. It's now over 4,000.
Wow. That's
So that
explosive
storm
growth of the
came and
industry.
everybody signed up. So there's a bunch of people running around that have had their license unsupervised for less than a year.
And you've been doing this for quite a long time.
I've been doing it since 2012. Before that, I was on the other side. I was on selling the insurance versus going after them and making them pay for their claims.
So you've seen it both ways.
I've seen it both ways, yeah.
Well, we appreciate it. We're going to make sure that we send a lot of business your way because you are incredibly knowledgeable and very personable. Any last minute words of advice for our viewers or our audience?
Unfortunately, you have to keep this in mind. Most people, when they have something going on in their home, the first person they call is their insurance agent. And I'm not gonna please what I'm gonna tell you with the insurance agents who are hoping also to be in this pool of vendors. But the insurance agent gets hurt in their book of business
Every time there's a
for
claim.
frequency as well as severity of claim. So most people that I come in on 2 years down the road, and I had one yesterday where they called their agent said to them, oh, from what you're telling me, it's not worth making a hurricane claim. There's only 2 leaks inside the house. You have a $5,000 deductible. 2 years later, we find out the roof was shot by wind. They've got leaks all over the place. They're now emerging through, and that $5,000 under deductible amount really is about a $30,000 loss. So I say, by calling me in, it doesn't mean there's a claim. I'm going to tell you whether or not it makes sense to make that claim, because I don't want you hurt by making a claim where you get nothing but a 5% increase. And if someone has a $1,000 deductible and I think it's a $3,000 claim, if they're living paycheck to paycheck, maybe you'll put that in. But if you're not living paycheck to paycheck, I'm going to say this is crazy.
Right.
Or if you're going to make the claim, don't use me, because I'm not going to take a percentage of $2,000.
Right.
I'll do the claim for you, but it's so much little left to do the work with. Don't do it.
And speaking of compensation as a last thought, you don't actually get paid up front by anyone. So you mentioned there's no reason not to call you and
That's
get your
correct.
input.
It's-
How are public adjusters
Public
compensated?
adjusters are compensated. We negotiate a fee up front with our clients. There's a maximum during a hurricane, the first 12 months of 10%, and after the 12-month period on a hurricane, it can go up to 20, and daily claims can be up to 20. But everybody knows that if you're a teacher, first responder, military, friend of Ben Schachter's, I'll give you a reduction on that.
And that's that percentage is a percentage of what's captured from the insurance company.
Net of the deductible. So
Okay.
if you have a $100,000 claim on a hurricane and you have a $20,000 deductible, our commission is on the 80.
Right.
We don't get first dollar. We get after the deductible has been met. I have only had one client in my entire career that after deductible could have made more money than me using them, and that was a USA client who was a 92-year-old physician who just didn't want to face the insurance companies. He said, "Stephen, take care of it." And he netted about $100 less if he would have done it on his own than with me helping him.
Well,
And,
that's,
I
a,
still
that's,
like
a good
helping
that's a
people.
great testimonial.
I like helping people.
Very good. Well, Stephen, it is always
you.
a pleasure.
Thank you very
We are
much.
thrilled to support your business and to encourage our viewers, our realtors, our buyers and sellers to use your services. Firsthand, I've used Stephen. It's been a phenomenal experience. He brought me so much value against my insurance policy. And quite frankly, I don't know what I'm doing in the world of insurance, but having Stephen by my side really made me feel comfortable.
And I still do a really nice morning presentation where I bring coffee and donuts, bagels, and I do my 3 evil sins of the insurance company. And we have a lot of fun in teaching your agents in educational session. It's from 15 minutes to 45 minutes, whatever your brokers want to do that run their offices. And again, we cover all 67 counties in the state of Florida.
Fantastic.
Thank you.
Stephen Lippy, president, owner of Florida's Best Public Adjusters, a dear friend of Signatures and someone you can trust in the public adjusting world, especially to decomplicate what is otherwise really confusing in the world of insurance. You'll be able to reach Stephen because his contact information is all going to be embedded in the video. So feel free to reach out to Stephen and Florida's Best Public Adjusters anytime you think you may have a claim against your insurance. And quite frankly, he's the guy to use to get the information, the knowledge, the wisdom, and the true honest opinion as to whether or not you do have a claimable type of in a situation or not. Thanks again for participating in Signature 2. We're thrilled to have all of our realtor friends and viewers from around the U.S. participating today. Tune in next time for another fantastic professional to learn about other industry trades, all related to the real estate professional. Thanks for tuning in. I'm Ben Schachter, your host from Signature Real Estate Companies, signing off. Have a great day.